Every American child should be able to grow up in a safe community, to attend a great school, and to have access to a high-paying job. But to create this future, we must work with, not against, the men and women of law enforcement. We must build bridges of cooperation and trust, not drive the wedge of disunity and really it's what it is, division. It's pure, unadulterated division. We have to unify. Police and sheriffs are members of our community. They're friends and neighbors. They're mothers and fathers, sons and daughters, and they leave behind loved ones every day who worry about whether or not they'll come home safe and sound. We must support the incredible men and women of law enforcement.
When you said law enforcement, you think right away of Sheriff David Clarke, because as things started going crazy in America, we started turning into the sheriff to make sense of what's going on in the inner city. Because
you mean turning to the sheriff? You didn't turn into him, right?
No, I didn't. I wish I could. He works for the Merritt County, Milwaukee County in Wisconsin, author of this brand new book, Cop Under Fire, Moving Beyond Hashtags of Race, Crime, and Politics for a Better America. Sheriff, when the president was talking about law enforcement, were your ears ringing?
They always do, but we have a huge supporter now in the White House, Donald Trump, President Donald Trump, and he said early on in his campaign that he was going to support the police, and he was unambiguous about it, where some of the other candidates were trying to split the baby, and they were, you know, dancing around the edges. He went all in, understanding that we're on the front lines of the rule of law.
Well, how big a difference is this president than the last one?
It's like night and day. Former President Obama was an echo chamber for the cop haters, the anti-police rhetoric, and it was very damaging to this profession. It was very damaging to the trust that is needed in the community between, you know, us and the people we serve. So that's gone now. It's going to take some time. This stuff doesn't flip overnight, but rest assured, we have a president who said we're going to have the resources, we're going to have all the support we need, and he's going to make sure that his Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, who I know personally, is going to do everything that he can to support the police. See, with President Obama and with Eric Holder and Loretta Lynch, the cops were the bad guys and the criminals were made out to be victims.
You guys had to be retrained.
Right, de-escalation, emphasis on, you know, more dialogue as we're under attack, under assault. You know, assaults against law enforcement officers were up. Deaths, again, deaths in the line of duty were up as well. And you had this inane idea about we should de-escalate and engage in more dialogue. This stuff is crazy.
Is your book, your new book is called, it came out on Tuesday, it's called Cop Under Fire, Moving Beyond Hashtags of Race, Crime, and Politics for a Better America. Is it a guide to the president to show him what needs to change, how we need to fix the problem?
Well, I think he already knows, but what this is, you know, usually people only get the benefit of me in sound bites. On TV, a little radio.
You're a good soundbiter.
Well, you know, there's substance to what I say, though, and so this allows people a deeper dive into some of the things that I talk about. And I'll touch on issues that many in a political environment will not go near. Race, things like the cultural dysfunctionality in the black community leading to the rise of a black underclass. Those are things most politicians just stay away from, but I'm trying to get people beyond it, not to solve these things. Some of them, race is always going to be front and foremost in this country. We got to get beyond some of this stuff.
And Sheriff, you know why you're qualified is because you know what you witnessed. Your dad was pushing you for a while, just needle you. Hey, you should try be a cop, right? And he said, well, I'm thinking about it. You drove a beer truck. You realized you couldn't do that for too much longer. So you tried this thing. But what you give us a perspective in your book is what it's like walking the beat. And as you watched a middle-class neighborhood with very little crime turn into a lower-class neighborhood totally robbed of any industry and opportunity, and people started looking at the system and looking for handouts, and you watch the behavior of the human beings with so much potential change. I
saw what the Great Society, Lyndon Johnson's crazy idea of big government, what it did to destroy the family structure in the black community. I think it hit the black community harder than anybody else. It marginalized men in the lives of their family to raise the kid, to be the provider. Uncle Sam became the provider, you know, with welfare benefits. Uncle Sam put food on the table. Uncle Sam was the protector, so on and so forth. It's had devastating consequences. Uncle Sam might be good for some things, but Uncle Sam is a horrible father.
Well, Uncle Sam you know, service to our nation, a lot of people are wondering whether or not you would be interested in something like this. Here is Dog the Bounty Hunter on Fox and Friends this past weekend. Listen to this, Sheriff.
Sheriff Clarke is strong law and order. While the President of the United States is making America great again, we're trying to help Sheriff Clarke to make it safe again. We want him to run for United States Senate.
I think that the enthusiasm to have someone who's strong law and order come in to help us reclaim our country is a very exciting possibility.
Okay, you had Dog the Bounty Hunter at CPAC suggesting you would be a great candidate for U.S. Senate.
Well, look, that's a big decision, and it's a decision that requires time before you make it. I'm flattered by the energy and the enthusiasm nationwide for such a thing, but that's why it's a draft movement at this point. They're going to have to get me in there kicking and screaming right now, but I never say never. I haven't totally closed the door, but I think it's less than 50% that I'd run for Senate.
How interested are you in a move to the White House? I know you've already been to the Tower a couple of times.
There are discussions. There are ongoing discussions. Look, if the president asks me to serve, I'm going to step up and I'm going to serve my country, serve his administration. If that call comes, I will answer that call. That's all I can say at this point.
You know, the big headline today is about Jeff Sessions. Apparently, he talked to the Russian ambassador when he was a U.S. senator, and the Democrats their hair is on fire. They kind of pulled the same thing on you last summer.
Yeah, you know, I was a year ago, December, I went on a law enforcement mission to Moscow, and someone came up with some tweet the other day that Sheriff Clarke met with Russian officials. He's got some explaining to do. This stuff, look, the average voter doesn't care about this stuff. They're so far removed from all this nonsense. They want this government to get back to work to deal with the issues that are facing America. So, you know, this is kind of the game in Washington that led to the rise of Donald Trump. They wanted an outsider. They brought him in. They said, look, we need to change this tone to drain the swamp. That stuff's real with the American voters. So,
well, Sheriff, thank you for being with us. The book is Cop Under Fire. Our law enforcement, unfortunately, has been under fire. But thank you for bringing this to all our attention and for being here this morning.
You're very welcome, and congrats on being #1 in cable news.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. For 10 years.
10 years.
Right.
Wow.
All right. Thanks, Sheriff.
Thank you.